It's time for Sunrise with Jesus. Be sure to follow this podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, Facebook, and YouTube. Today's Sunrise is sponsored by Team Godchild Clothing. Wednesday, November 15th, 2017. Happy birthday, Kareem!
So I grew up feeling quite rejected. It was very strange because I grew up in a loving home. You know, we were family oriented. We loved each other. However, I don't know. I guess that was just my path or what the devil wanted to do with me. He would always let me feel insecure or try to get me to isolate myself, or I'd always think that no one cared, no one loved me, no one understood me. And that led me to often question why I was born. I would go through a phase where I would just curse the day I was born. You know, I was too fearful to actually ask God to kill me, but you know, I would curse the day I was born because there were certain situations that I had to go through growing up, you know, rejection, the people I had closest to me, I felt like they rejected me, they turned their backs on me, and I just believed I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. And I remember one day just really being angry. I was so depressed. You know, I really wanted to just die. I just wanted to die. I was very suicidal, and I was so depressed that I didn't know if it was possible to get out. There was no thought that came to my mind that I really believed could help me at that point. And it was something, it was such turmoil, waking up every day depressed. Every moment of the day I was depressed, and it was almost like it was so deep that it was like I was being attacked in my mind, and every second when I was asleep, I wouldn't have peaceful sleep. And that thing, I was certain that it was easier to just leave the earth than to endure all of that. And it wasn't so much so what happened to me anymore. It was just the pain of depression itself. I didn't know that I could handle it. And I remember just accepting that this was my fate, that this was how I was going to be for the rest of my life. And then one day, I just heard a voice. I was standing at the bus stop, and I heard a voice say to me, you know, if you don't think about yourself, you won't feel anything. And that voice was so crisp and clean, and it was so clear that I was like, what in the world was that? I was losing my mind because I'm like, I just heard a voice. Then I realized, wait, it was telling me something that might help me. So I remember at that moment trying to do what that voice told me to do, just not think about myself. And when I did, immediately I felt such peace. I felt peace. I felt the depression actually lift off of me. And remember, at that point, I didn't know that was possible. And I didn't know that voice was God. But it's after a while, I realized that every day I would hear that voice again. And that voice would tell me something concerning my own depression, and it would help me, and it would give me the strength to get out. And I remember one day I just had an epiphany that that's God. God is the one that was talking to me. God is the one that was reaching out to me. You know, it was Jesus all along. And I remember at one point just saying to God, you know that I'm suicidal. You know that I don't want to live here anymore. You know I have no other reason to be here. But you keep drawing me. You're still calling me to yourself. So if I'm going to live, I know I have to live for you. And I remember it was at that point that I made a resolve in my heart that everything about me, everything I do would be for God. It would be to serve God. And now, my zeal and my heart was just to be his friend. I didn't want to be any minister. I didn't want to do a lot of the things that he has called me to do now, but simply my heart that wanted him to be my friend, or I wanted us to have a love relationship. And so, from now and forevermore, we have just had awesome fellowship. And I have totally overcome that spirit of suicide and totally overcome that spirit of depression. And now I'm one of the most goofy, I'm so goofy, I'm crazy, and I'm always laughing. And that's the spirit and the joy that God has given me. And I know if he did it for me, he can do it for you. So with all that said, hi, I'm Kareem Flowers, and I have overcome suicide and depression by the blood of Jesus Christ. And remember to always have your sunrise with Jesus.
If you enjoyed today's sunrise, continue to rise with us by following our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sunrise with Jesus. And lastly, visit our website, www.sunrisewithjesus.com. Sunrise with Jesus, as faithful as the sun.